Hello and welcome to Sporting Gibberish. I'm Stuart Ruth.
And I'm Jack Duffman.
On today's show we're going to be talking, for a surprise, just a bit of a change, Jack. We're going to mix it up. We're going to be talking Rugby Gulf League.
Oh yeah, special guest.
Yes, we do have a special guest today. Pedro has joined us again, so we're listening to, or interested to see what Pedro's going to say. What's coming up to the halfway point? 13th game this weekend. Is it exactly halfway for the league?
Halfway for their league, yeah, good.
We're going to be talking League Cup, what's happening, what's gone on there, Premier League. As in, we've just had like a handful of games.
It's strange, isn't it? It's weird.
Yeah, and a game again tonight, but by the time you listen to this, it would have been yesterday, so you'll know the result.
Yeah, so it's game week 18 for fantasy football, and everybody should have played 18 games by then.
Yeah, well, apart from Villa, who
Yeah,
were just
they've played about 12.
Yeah, the thing about the third game of the season. But yeah, we'll be talking that. We're going to be talking about fantasy football as per usual, and also how we are running the cup this year. So the Champions League, Sporting Gibberish, sponsored by Radisson Red Champions League Cup, which is exciting news, and how you guys are going to get involved in that, along with Larkin's Corner, which is always interesting. We are also going to be announcing some of the winners that have never claimed their prizes.
Unbelievable! Can you believe they never claimed the prize?
Best prizes ever, and they're not even claiming them yet.
I've claimed my old man's because with all that's going on in the UK, he's not coming out here just yet, is he? So.
Well, I think, have you not already used it? Have you told me that?
Yeah, I've used it.
Just breaking news. Sorry,
Dad,
Greg.
I've used it.
That's the first time you heard you call him Dad.
Dad, yeah.
Hi, Dad.
It's because I've been in trouble.
Yeah, good possibility. And then we are going to be big talking point is definitely Jack's round corner this week. Interested to find out because he is not happy.
I tell you what, it's a good job that we didn't record this at what time would that Spurs game have finished? 2 a.m. ish this morning, or Thursday morning our time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wow, that was a way tough that. But we're going to start with the Sporting Week, and we're going to start with Barrichello, who we had planned on recording the start of the show, going to watch the race, and then coming back to record the second part of the show. But unfortunately, the weather has got the better of Catterick.
So he was due to go at 1:40 UK time in Catterick over 2 miles.
Yeah,
3 furlongs.
Not 2 metres as my missus pointed out.
Oh, he's got over 2 metres. No, Jim.
No.
That's social distancing. He's not social distancing. Yeah, so he was meant to run at Catterick 1:40 UK time, but of course you've all got snow over there, and so it was called off this morning.
What's snow? We're like 20 something degrees.
Although to be fair, people at work have been turning up. It's been cold here in the mornings, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's been a good nippy 12 degrees here.
Yeah, 8 degrees I think he showed on my coat in the morning.
Wow.
And then he got jumper out.
Nearly.
Don't bother.
I tell you what, how does he sound like him from KZ? Nearly got jumper out. But yeah, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, anyway.
But anyway, back to Sporting Week. What's going on? Because last week your social team or tournament team had the final and potentially league starting as well.
Yeah. So the social team, or the midweek team, whatever you want to call it, just missed out on the final last Friday evening. 9 o'clock started, late kick-off or late stumps, but they did really well. Came close, I think just lost, just came up short, chasing about 180, I think it was. But fair play to Harsh, who sort of captained that side. And what's been really pleasing, and particularly from my point of view, is as Doc, as director of cricket, is that we actually had 3 under 15s playing in that whole tournament, which is really, really good. So well done to Flynn and Ollie, who have come from sort of just joined us in the summer, been training, and you know what it's like being a young lad, 14, 15-year-old in adult sport. It's tough. It's a tough learning curve, but they've done really well. And no more sorry over here on a small ground, I think in Sharjah, and they're both bowlers, so you know they've been used to sort of being hit, but that's just the game. But they're really good. So we're really pleased with that actually, because like I said last year we were struggling to put one side out, and for the last 6 weeks either side of Christmas we put 4 sides out a week. So that's really good.
So even if you'd played in that, your 3 runs wouldn't have made any difference.
No, I still would have lost, mate. Yeah.
No,
and then league season starts for us on Saturday.
Right, okay, Jack. League season starts this Saturday. What are your early predictions?
Well, so it's sort of the ASL 8.1 they call it. So a bit like your football, split into 2 halves, don't they? And I think there's 12 teams in it, different size. Some teams in there that I've not heard of or seen before. I think we're going to go. I think we're going to top 4. We'll finish top 4.
So you're looking to qualify?
Yeah,
top 4.
Top
so
4 for finals.
Rather than enter the Mickey Mouse Cup, you go for the big cup.
Yeah.
And I'm not even interested in where you finish in the league. I want you to nail your colours on the mast now and tell me how many runs or average runs are you aiming for
So,
this minute
to be fair, all the stick you gave me, I actually had a decent. I think I finished 5th or 6th in the league runs in the first half at 8. Scored 300 and something, average 39. So I'm happy with that. So let's match that for starters.
So average is 39.
Average between 35 and 40. I'll be happy with that.
I don't like the way that's just changed within half a second.
Oh, we'll average 40 then.
Okay, right, thank you. Right, okay, so Jack said it now. Average 40, top 4 finish.
Yeah.
And then where's the end of it? By the end of it, obviously top 4 qualify in. Are you aiming semis, semi-final winners?
I think they're going to do this because it's just one big pool this half. I think they're going with the old IPL thing. So first gets like 2 bites of the cherry to get to the final.
Yeah.
So I think probably if it how does that work? Is it the top 5? Maybe even get into the playoffs. But look, let's finish in the top 4 or 5 and let's get to the final.
Okay, alright, so
At
final, average 40, big shout from Luffers.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Got to set yourself aside, haven't you?
Why not?
What about yourself? Are we playing? You've just been picked. You just showed me actually.
Yeah, so we are going, at the moment we are going with 7 aside again, and they split the team into 2 on a Wednesday. I think we're having a social league on a Sunday, so I may just roll up and get a few games in there.
Big time Charlie Roll, just roll up.
Pretty much, just, like if they're short, they'll give me a call, they'll beg me, they'll plead, or whatever else. But yeah, I might just rock up. But yeah, we've split the teams rather than, I think there was definitely a distinct pattern last season where there seemed to be certain players in one team. I think probably the aged players along that were probably a little bit better footballers, and then another team which was full of probably the younger lads that were like 35 to 38 and a lot faster. Turns out we finished 2nd and 5th, I think. I want to say 5th for the other team. So not a bad season, but I think it's one that we should be winning. So they've gone split down the middle, 2 potentially equal teams. So we are looking for, the Gaffer's already put out there 1st and 2nd. So
good effort.
I'm gonna put my colours on there. I'm gonna go with leading goal scorer again. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I was comfortably, I think, 4 to 6 goals ahead of anybody else.
You did alright. I'll give you that.
So I'm gonna go for that, and then I'm also gonna go for top 2 finish.
Good. So we're aiming high.
Yeah. So our season starts the 20th, so in 6 days' time. So looking
Excellent.
forward
So
to
this
it.
time next week we'll be able to see how we got on.
Put the kid on that old treadmill.
But to be fair, the big sporting thing of the week. So as you know, listeners and viewers, Stu was unfortunately in isolation for 10 days after close contact. And obviously he said last week that I'd bought him a dartboard and stuff for Christmas. So prior to his isolation, he'd been, I'm going to play darts. So come round tonight, little beverage, because his first night, so we're celebrating his freedom. I play at darts, round the board twice, 2 double tops to finish, yeah, not a problem. Do you want to tell him what the score was?
Yeah, I am quite happy. I absolutely smashed it. I did give it the big one. I said I was going to smash it. I have had a wee ear problem today, but I'm not going to hide behind that. To be fair, Jack has thrown some awesome darts and he's beat me 5-0. 5 games we played at the end.
4. We didn't need the 3 games, just 2-0, 2-0.
Yeah. And I think was it that? I thought you finished 5, but Jack completely smashed me. Only twice I think we were level pegging going into the double tops, which came a little bit close, but the other games absolutely wiped me all over the place.
So watch out, Marco Van Geuren, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, I'll wait till next time, and it'll be a completely different story.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that's the first time I've lost on my own dartboard. So congratulations, Jack. I'll have to give you a rest. Social distancing. But
there we go.
So congratulations, Jack. Highlight of your sporting year.
It's only January though.
Highlight of your last sporting 12 months.
Let's move on.
That supersedes your average of 39.
Let's move on to football.
Right, okay, so football. We're going to start with the Arabian Gulf League. Before we go to our interview with Pedro, a couple of results from the Cup last week. So, as we were recording it, the actual Cup match was actually going on as we were recording.
Yeah.
So, Shabab were actually leading at the time. Without looking at the screen, I'm going to hide the screen. What score do you think it finished?
2-2.
It didn't, it finished 4-2. Shabab Al Ahly have broken their duck of drawing all the games possible and actually won 4-2 in the first leg. Al Nassr drew 1-1 with Fujera, which I think is a poor result for you guys, considering you're at home.
2-legged though, aren't they?
2-legged result. Banias 1-1 with Kalber, so I think them two are going pretty much toe for toe in the league as well. And Sharjah 0, Al Wasl 0, so that's an interesting one because that's the second leg going back to Al Wasl. So Al Wasl, I think, will probably be happy with that, thinking at home, second leg, might be able to just sneak something. But the second leg of that is not until the 25th of Jan.
Away goals count, not.
I don't think it does. I think it's just 2 legs. But then this week, before we go to Pedro, big games this week, which start on Friday. So the first game there is Hatta versus Alain. We're going with Alain, should be a comfortable win. Sharjah versus Calva, which should be an interesting game because Sharjah, despite every time we think they're going to rock, they turn up and win the next game. So we'll see how they get on there. Iceman versus Fajera, Shabab versus Al Nassr.
Oh, the big one.
It's a tasty game there.
The big one.
It's such a shame that we're not being able to go, and that's on Friday.
1-1.
You're going Shabab to draw?
Yeah.
I don't know why you would pick them. They don't draw anything. Al Dafra versus Al Wassel, Kofra Khan versus Al Jazeera, and Al Wada versus Benias. But what we have actually managed to do, we managed to get on Pedro, who organises the commentary for all the Arabian Gulf League matches over in Dubai. So he gets the English speakers to come on. He's a massive Al Wassel fan. So I managed to catch up with him this week.
Morning Pedro, good to get you back on the show. Just a quick update on what's going on with the league at the moment. Looks like Sharjah continuing as they left off from 2 seasons ago, currently top of the league, closely followed by Al Jazeera and Al Nassr in 3rd place, with Benias falling in 4th. Is that how you expected things to go this season?
Hi Stuart, how are you? Thank you for having me again. As we are approaching the halfway point of the season, we are going to play the upcoming weekend around 13. Sharjah leads. They are a very solid and consistent side. So and they are as you mentioned in the same level as they were last time they won the league 2 seasons ago. They are officially the reigning champions, having in mind that last season did not finish. But honestly, I think Jazeera has a pretty good shot at the title. A very good side, the most represented side in the UAE national team. Very good players, still at the young age. A very good coach with the experience in the Arabian Gulf League. So I think they are a very good competitor, and they can take it away from Sharjah. It's not decided, not at all. And we cannot rule out Al Nassr. Al Nassr is in the 3rd position, 5 points behind Sharjah. Unlike Sharjah, they are pretty much inconsistent, so we never know exactly. Al Nassr has a huge potential, having in mind the players they have, etc. They have a huge potential, but we never know exactly what they are going to bring on, because unlike Sharjah, they are not consistent. We never know exactly what's going to happen, but it's an interesting fight at the top. And then we have the dark horses like Benias and Calva. They are doing pretty well for themselves and are punching above their weight. And they can steal points from any team, and eventually with that mix up the title race.
I've got to say, from my point of view, Shabab Al-Ahli seem to be like the draw specialists of the league at the moment. Really not picking up the points where they need to be. So I think they've definitely been potentially underperforming this season. Find themselves currently in 8th place. Currently sharing points with your boys Al Wassel. Are you happy with their current position, or are they a little bit further down than you'd like them to be?
Yes, Shabab Al-Ahli, Al Wassel, Al Wahd and Alain are somehow below the expectations in the beginning of the season on one hand, but on the other hand, there are many reasons that can explain that. For example, Alain is usually missing lots of players due to injuries, and because they are out of national teams, so they have been struggling with a lot of, let's say, unusual circumstances. Well, Al Wahd changed the coach even before the start of the season. I still believe they have a pretty good coach, and they have in the overall a really good team. Maybe lacking something here and there, but a pretty good team. And Shabab Al-Ahli, I think from the 4, Shabab Al-Ahli, it's the most disappointing side, even because they revealed to the league the top goal scorer, Igor Jesus, an amazing young player, young Brazilian striker. He's 19 or 20, I don't know exactly. is a top goal scorer, and he's not only an amazing goal scorer, he's also an amazing player. Whomever has not watched him play yet, I strongly recommend to watch one of the Shabalala matches because he's an amazing player. As per Al-Wazl, yes, it's slightly below the expectations in the table. Let's see if Al-Wazl manages to win this upcoming match with Dafra on round 13th. They will be 19, will have 19 points, and I would say between 19 and 20 points would be a fair amount of points for this part of the season. Al-Wazl has been going through some changes in terms of the coaches. So it's now Alair Hellman, it's the third coach, but I strongly believe from what I have seen over the last few matches that Al-Wazl will definitely pick up the pace in the second round of the season, and I believe Al-Wazl can do something better. Not too much better in terms of title race, obviously, but I believe Al-Wazl can move up like 3-4 places eventually in the second round, because I think now Al-Wazl has finally found a good coach to manage a team.
Looking at the bottom of the league, unfortunately, Ajman and Hatta are really detaching themselves off. Big question is going to be who they're going to pick up the first win against, and who is going to finish bottom at the end. So far, interesting season. How do you see it finishing?
It's as you say, Stuart, it's a very interesting season. I think in the overall, the level, not with the biggest teams, but with the medium and the lower teams, I think the level has gone up a little bit, especially with the inclusion of these new resident players. Things are improving inside the pitch. In terms of the relegation battle, basically, I believe we have 4 teams, and unless somebody else from above drops heavily, we have 4 teams: Horfahan, Fujairah, Ajman, and Hatta, and 2 of these 4 will be relegated, I believe. The thing is, last season, Horfahan was in the place now occupied by Hatta in a very similar situation. And then, just with the January transfer window, they almost completely changed the squad. And when we went when the league stopped in March, they were already out of the relegation zone. So we never know. In the winter transfer window, what usually happens in the Arabian Gulf League is we have lots of changes. So it's a little bit unpredictable to know what's going to happen. It will depend a lot on once the transfer window closes on the 1st of February, who did what, because maybe we'll have a completely different face from that moment on any of these teams, or even the other teams above them. We don't know what's going to happen. So right now it looks really bad for Hatta mostly, and also for Ajman. But let's see what happens after the transfer window, what kind of changes will happen, what kind of players they will bring, not only in terms of the foreign contingent, but also in terms of local players. And from then we go. But one thing is for sure, the Arabian Gulf League is as interesting as ever. But I think in the overall the level is better than before.
Last question for me, Pedro. Some of our viewers have been asking about when potential lifts are going to happen with regards to fans going to watch games. Is there any news that you're aware of that might be happening anytime soon?
No, regarding fans attendance, we don't know. That will be coming from the government, also from the Pro League, and we are waiting, but we have no news, no rumors about it. Obviously, we know the current situation on side. Vaccination is going forward, but on the other hand, also numbers are rising. So we don't know exactly what to expect, but at least soon. It's not will play the league until the end of the season. For me, at least, that's the main point, having in mind what happened last season.
Yeah, so a few things there that I found interesting, what Pedro was saying, particularly when he was talking about league winners. He's mentioning potentially Algeciras, ones that are coming forward, but it made me start thinking about Algeciras and the fact that so many lads represent the national team, because the national team plays and the league fixtures still carry on.
Because the national team have been playing this last week or so, haven't they? Yeah.
So potentially Algeciras could lose points at a vital part of the season because the lads play on international duty.
It's something I think has been talked about in England. You know, when England go away, should the Premiership carry on? You know, like it does in rugby union.
Yeah.
And I can see both sides of it, because actually it will give squads, that it would open up the league a little bit more.
But do you think that though? Because, well, I suppose if you're talking about international football, if you're talking about England only, then teams like City won't be affected.
No, yeah.
It'll be probably your top 4, 5, 6 clubs where they host a bulk. You'd have to have a look at the Premiership.
Yeah.
Because City, well, maybe City might not be a correct shout, but who they lose? Stones, Kyle Walker,
Sterling, Foden.
Yeah.
I mean that's the squad, but certainly over here, you take a lot of them out. There's not going to be a lot left, is there?
No.
Quality-wise, in all due respect, but and I find interesting that there's a relegation as well.
Yes, bottom 2. So I'm trying to get hold of some information about the Division 2. It's not as easy as it first seems, and even Pedro said this to me in another message, but it's interesting because there are a few teams that are linked heavily with people that we know from the UK, so City FC and I think Levant's United, which have got a heavy northeast contingency. So there's also Gulf United, who have got quite a strong youth presence around Dubai. So it is interesting, and their games are up at the 7s more often than not of the week. So that is potentially where you can go and catch a little bit of live football action.
Yeah, because you can get up and watch in the big pavilion.
But yeah, big thank you to Pedro for the update for that. But we're talking FA Cup, you've put the romances back.
Yeah, just obviously, I mean, I've always rated the FA Cup, and I can't understand why some sides don't try and win it, don't get it. Same with the League Cup, don't get that, but that's another debate. But I just felt at the weekend that the romance of it was back. You know, in unfortunate circumstances, the young lads had to play Villa, the young lads had to play your boys, and the young lad, 17-year-old, scores the goal, or the 16-year-old.
Looks decent player.
Yeah, good finish, wasn't it? Confident.
Yeah.
And then you had, again, unfortunate circumstances with Derby, but you had Chorley then getting to the 4th round. And then obviously the big story around Spurs and Marine, the biggest ever gap, under the 61 places between Spurs and, I mean, the biggest ever gap in FA Cup history. And all the things around it, the ground, the fact that actually you probably had the most fans in because people were watching in the gardens, having a bit of Prosecco.
Did you see the guy with the cardboard cut out?
As I just thought that it was back, and I think all the teams like Spurs played their part in that, and you know, unfortunate for Derby and Villa, but they cracked on. I don't know. I just wondered whether the romance.
I think it was nice to see some of the shocks, but the funny thing was I had a look and they were talking about when the draw came out, Chorley was 12-1 to win that game against Derby, and then suddenly it dropped into favourites when everything kicked off.
Yeah.
So if anybody's got it 12-1, is absolutely rubbing their hands. But it was good. But I think the romance only comes with fans. There was some great results. So Crawley were outstanding against Leeds. Leeds so poor.
Yeah.
But it's strange that, isn't it? Leeds seem to get up for the big games, but can't motivate themselves. But he's got a bad record in the FA Cup, a bit like Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
So is it a case of international managers don't appreciate the love?
Could be
for the cup.
I watched the Leeds game, and I called it if more this was actually interested in football. I called it when the Phillips, you know, the local lad, playing a centre half, which I didn't get his team selection, but was strolling around, strutting around with his chewing his gum. I thought he didn't want to put a bit of a loser here.
Yeah.
I kind of called it a little bit, but yeah, disappointing for Leeds, because Leeds could win it, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing because I think Leeds could actually win it. That kind of the way they play the football and stuff like that, I think they could win it.
Yeah, well, they're not going to win it now.
Well,
are
they're not
they?
going to win it
They're
now.
out. But good draw for Chorley in the next round. Wolves at home.
Yeah.
I tell you what, was surprised they did 4th and 5th round draw
Yeah,
together.
I'm assuming that's to do with time and organisation. I don't know. But did you see Crouch do the draw?
No.
Did you see what he did?
Did he do the Rod Stewart? He said he was going to do the Rod Stewart.
He did the robot and the Rod Stewart. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
A combo.
He did say that he wanted to do that, didn't he? So that does not surprise
But
me.
yeah, I enjoyed this round of FA Cup fixtures, and let's hope there's another upset. You know, surely Wolves aren't flying.
I think there's plenty of upset, isn't there? If Man United beat Liverpool.
Gotta get through the league thing now.
Oh, well, we've got that this weekend, so that'll be interesting.
That leads nice into Premier League. Come, let's
Yes,
get with the
Premier League.
elephant in the room.
Elephant
All
in
the
the-
fans, Man United back.
According to
No.
Man United fans, I tell you what's funny is that post I sent to you the other day is elephant upside down on a tree.
Yeah.
The question is not even bothered by the elephant being upside. How on earth it got there? And that's a bit like Man United.
Yeah.
1 minute, and we talked about this probably about 4 or 5 episodes ago, where I think they just drawn to City, they were detached, weren't they? And then suddenly it was like worries that they were potentially going to fall down, and Ollie's was at risk because they just got out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
And it's going to pain me to say this, but he's done a decent job.
It-
you know,
Yeah.
and they're not playing that bad of football. And I think the key is, and probably what Matt Aldridge struck me on that post that we did the other day, was the fact that they are doing what Liverpool did last year, is not playing well, but getting the 1-0 wins, the last minute victories. They're going into the 80th, 90th minute of games, still drawing, and then coming out with 3 points. And that's a worrying sign.
It is, and I take the point with that. And there's a twofold thing for that. That in this run they've had, big game for them at the weekend, bigger game for them than it is for Liverpool. But if Liverpool lose, you can still win the league.
Yeah.
You'd have confidence because you're there, you've been there, done that, won trophy for the last 2 years. Man United lose, I think you're back to hang on
You
a
think
minute.
Wales might start?
I don't think the wheels have necessarily come off because I think it's that kind of season. But Man United are poor defensively, for me. You know, you're not going to change that. But and we've said it along going forward. You've got Pogba playing in that attacking third. That they are as good as anybody. But it's a bit like, and we'll get on to Spurs probably in my little rant. But any of those others in that top thing, I still believe that even Liverpool and Man City will win the league. And I think because at the minute, even though probably Liverpool aren't playing as well as they have been doing the last 18 months, when they get ahead, you're not chasing them, you're not pulling them back. Same with City, who've just come into form. Man United, Everton, Spurs, who else is up there? Leicester. If they go 1-0 up, 2-0, you still think you're in the game, don't you? Any of the sides in the league. And I think that's the difference for me.
I said that Liverpool have been throwing away 1-0 leads left, right, and centre. But I think the interesting thing is that when teams have had the opportunity to go top and then try to pull away, nobody's done it. You know, everybody kind of, it's very much stood to start. And it just takes a team to put 4 runs together, which is what United have done.
Absolutely.
4 wins on the bounce, and suddenly they're top of the league and everyone's talking about time.
And all of a sudden, like from Spurs' poor result last night against Fulham, 6 points clear of Spurs.
Yeah.
Whereas 4 weeks ago, I think it may have been the opposite.
Yeah.
Spurs have thrown away 10 points at home.
But let's talk about it because there's been a few games this week.
Yeah.
So we had Sheffield United finally picked up their first win of the season. Newcastle fans must be tearing their hair out. Player sent off first half, ended up losing 1-0. I think it was Taylor that got sent off.
Yeah, Billy Sharp scored, didn't he? All the
Billy Sharp,
strikers
was it a
that-
penalty?
I think so, yeah. There's some controversy, I didn't watch it, but I did see the Bruce.
Yeah.
I think shares many people's opinion, fans, that VAR is ruining the game. So obviously he wasn't happy with a couple of decisions there.
But big result for Sheffield United. It's now
They're in
people
touch now.
people look at it and go, can they possibly do it? I think they'll probably just lose the next game and then they'll be back to square
I
one.
wouldn't guarantee that because we go there on Sunday. So
Well, maybe they might pick up 2
That's
wins in a
two
row.
wins in a row.
Yeah. Burnley lost to United. I've seen Pogba's goal. Hits the volley all right, but right in the middle of the goal. It hits a little nasty deflection off the defender. Goes through. Give them the dues. Maguire's goal was a great header. Can't see anything wrong with that. So yes, they got lucky with the goal, but secondly, and I tell you what, people beside the going, is he actually saying United? But Maguire's goal shouldn't be disallowed.
well, where can you put his arms? It's a bit like, I mean, again, watching it, and Spurs, and they're not the only side, obviously, but watching people the last 2 games defending, as you know, defending in the box, the Dyers, the Sanchez's, well, all of the defenders, they're going to block a ball with hands behind the back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most unnatural thing you can do, and that's because of this stupid handball.
Yeah.
So what was Maguire meant to do? Like, jump up like that?
Like, it's flying salmon.
like a meerkat.
It's a flying salmon. That
Yeah.
yeah.
He's got, when you go to head, you've got to put your arms somewhere. And he's
Yeah.
not battered him, he's just stronger, bigger, got up earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have stood for sure.
Yeah, and then Wolves are finally disappointed, but also brings Everton back in with a potential top 4, top 6 potential
Just
split.
sneaked in 2 or 3 weeks ago, you thought they were going to be sort of 7th, 8th, 9th.
And then, to be fair, I watched the Man City game last night. Man City played well, but I need to give Brighton so much credit because Brighton were decent, and with a few better decisions on the night, they could have well come away with a goal. There was this ball that played in from Bernardo second half, and he's whipped it right across the face of goal. And I can't think, the guy in midfielder came in at the back post proper. Came in the back post, and he slid in, and he just bounced and glanced right across it. Otherwise, he tapped in the back post. But Trossard and March, just bad decisions. Like, you've got the height of Dunk and the 7-foot giant left back. I can't remember his name is. Blonde hair, like what's it? Dean or something like that. But and they've got these corners and these positions to go across. They're doing shorts and they're giving the ball away. And I'm like, why? You Dunk is a monster in the air. These other lads are massive. The other centre half
Ben
was
White.
No, it wasn't White. White played midfield last night, and he had a good game in midfield. That lad's a player. But they could have had opportunities to put 3 or 4 good crosses in, and one corner they went short and lost it, and City nearly broke and scored. The other corner they didn't hit they hit the foot post, and you're like, you don't need to whip it, you just need to lift it, just float it in, because these monsters are going to come in and just clear out everything. And then the next one, he goes to whip another cross in, he kicks it out and goes out and back in off the corner, and you're like, strange decisions from Brighton, but played nice football.
Yeah. What about Graham Potter then? Is he out of the same kind of ilk as Brendan Rodgers?
I think the strange thing is, I was looking at Brighton last night and I was really analysing them, and I was thinking about Potter's got these average footballers playing nice football. You know, it's unlike an English team. You've got your Sheffield United where it's like touch, moving forward quick.
Yeah.
These guys are like, have confidence in your abilities and still the belief that they can control the ball and they can move the ball. And it doesn't make a difference who's around them. The centre half split well last night. The midfielder dropped in, and it was playing triangles, and they did that every time, and they played some really nice football. So yeah, hats off, Potter, really good. And I know I slated Potter probably this time 6 months ago, saying Brian, but you know what? Maybe a few people have called it right, and Potter's actually doing a decent job.
And to be fair to him, he did a good job at Ostenstad, didn't he? Was it Ostenstad? So he's done it twice with like I say, the average players.
But is he going to be another English manager where, because he's a crap club, a rubbish club, he'll only ever get another rubbish club or a slightly better club, and the best he can hope for is to get an Everton or a West Ham?
That's what I was about to say, that because, let's be honest, Brighton, because of all fairness to how they're going to play, but they could go down.
Yeah.
They'll be in the relegation battle, there's no doubt about it, because like you said, they've not got quite enough quality, particularly in that front third. Who's going to take a punt on it? Say Brighton go down this next year and they don't come back up, his chance of the Premier League's gone.
Yeah.
And I think a bit like Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe stayed at Bournemouth too long. And now whether that was his choice, whether he didn't get approached, we don't know. Nobody knows that. But would a top club, would Spurs, for example, take a punt on him? They're not going to take a punt on him.
Would they? Nobody in the top 6, like I say, is the best you can hope for is an Everton or a West Ham job where it's a relatively semi-decent club.
It's a big club.
Where you can then potentially push into that top 6 group of teams and maybe challenge it every now and again. And then on the back of that, like David Moyes did, spent all that time at Everton and then got his final shot at the big time, didn't work out, dropped down. I think that's probably knocked everybody else back, 10 years.
Yeah.
Because Moyes wasn't able to step up, and that's no through fault of his own. No manager after that was able to do the same.
I still think that, I've said this before, we're a long way down the line, but when they went through those other managers like Louis van Gaal, they should have stuck with Moyes.
Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll briefly touch Spurs 1 Fulham 1 because that's going to come up in a second. But disappointed for you guys.
Massively
1-1 draw.
disappointed.
But-
Didn't play well. Fulham deserved it.
Yeah,
Without
so
any question.
but that's going to come up in a second. So we're going to.
You know, I'm ready to go.
He's rocking. As well, this is not 3D. You just see it back and forth. And then the last.
in 3D.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez. I'd have to keep ducking.
As a shadow.
Yeah, and then the other game is Arsenal Crystal Palace. So that finishes off this short week of the fixtures. But yeah, very interesting. But yeah, it also leads on to what is currently going on with transfer windows. So I had a little look. There's no major transfers going in. There's the new lad, Danilo, that they reckon is going to be. He's got Ronaldo-esque characteristics.
Oh,
Who's
let me
coming?
guess, he's gone to Man United, doesn't he?
He's gone to Man United, yeah. Snodgrass has come in, Lonergan's come in. They're really the only big moves at the moment for Premiership teams. But then there's also a whole host of like potentials or transfer.
Have Napoli not said that you need 100 million to get your man? You sent off.
Oh, Koulibaly.
Koulibaly, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to touch him. But all the rest seem to be loan deals where players that we never really heard of are out there.
I think Dele will be on his way on that.
Well, it's funny because I've got a few players here that have been linked with somebody. Pogba and Juventus never seems to disappear.
No,
It always seems to be in the background, but he says he's unhappy. But then last night he was happy because he scored the winner. So I think that's just one that just
never go
grumble away.
Yeah.
Ozil, because he's seen out his contract, so it'll be interesting because I think Arsenal really want to get him out. But who's going to pay £300,000 a week for a player that's probably not kicked the ball in eight months?
Yeah, I read today actually that he has agreed in principle to have his contract null and void, and so that saves Arsenal 7 million. He's quite happy to walk away from his contract,
Is
which
that
makes
because
things a bit easier.
is that because Europeans are around the corner? Or is he retired now from that? Because he's 32, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, he's got to play football,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
Well, the only other club that always comes in around this time is one of the Turkish teams, isn't it? And I think
Yeah,
Fenerbahce are linked.
yeah.
Fenerbahce are linked with him, and then the other clubs seem to be close linked with the American one. So Beckham's Miami,
Yeah.
LA Galaxy, and DC United.
I think there'll be a few. Philip Neville's just been announced as manager there, hasn't he? Into Miami.
That was it.
He's so manager and bought his mate.
Right, so yeah,
Jobs for the boys.
definitely. And then Dele Alli's been linked with PSG, which we thought would have happened
Yeah.
with Poch being there.
I think
Poch is linked with every Spurs player, so Eriksen's been linked there as well.
Yeah.
But then also Everton sneaking
Yeah,
up, but that's a strange one for me.
There's no way to go to Everton.
Because one, he's a Bayern Liverpool fan, and two, is he not the same as what they've already got?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's the same as he's a better player than
Well, you
Sigurdsson
think
playing well.
you
But he's a
see, you've got Sigurdsson in there, you've got James Rodriguez in there,
Carlson.
you've got Richarlison in there. But that's what Everton do. They seem to buy like these number 10s or these attacking midfielders in bulk.
He'll go to Paris Saint-Germain or maybe a side lower in the Premiership. But just on Dele, I probably mentioned him in my rant a little bit, but the first time that, because I think he's done really well not to come out publicly, because there's no doubt that Mourinho is after him, and he does this at clubs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's no doubt he's after him, and he's kept very quiet. And I woke up this morning, checked Instagram, and there's Dele. I don't know if you've seen it on his Instagram story. There's a picture of him looking quite glum in the back of his car, obviously what he's been driven home in, just looking glum. No comment, no nothing. That's the first time, and I think, yeah, I think, and I've said before, I rate him. I think he should be in it. I think he's in our best 11. Forget form for the minute. He should be in our thing. I know it was only Mourinho the night, but he did what he should have done. Controlled the game.
Games like that, it's an always situation,
Because
isn't
it
it?
is, and he particularly with Mourinho, and he did everything right. And to be fair, Mourinho did praise him, but I've said before on the show that for me, as an England fan, when you give me our best, he's in our best 11 every playing well, because he's that goal threat from midfield, and that's what we lacked again last night. So for Dele, if he's got a chance to go, and if Mourinho's not going to play him, go. Hopefully on loan as a Spurs fan, hopefully on loan rather than, because you're not going to get much of a fee from it at the minute with this current climate, and he's not playing any games. You're not going to get probably what he's actually worth.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, the only other one I wanted to touch on was Adama Traore, who seemed to be the hottest thing in the Premiership last season. Seems to have died off a little bit. And I actually spoke to Daryl, and he said he'd quite happily transfer him out. You know, as a Wolves fan, quite happily take the money. I don't think they're going to get 70-80 million that we originally championed for. But the team that's looking likely that are sniffing around of all teams are Leeds. So you've gone from potentially Premiership winners looking at taking Adam Traore to Anfield, and now bottom 10 Leeds United. That's for you,
I like his pace and I think I said last year, I think Liverpool have absolutely dodged the bullet there if it was really after it, because he's not all that. He's quick and he's got some ability, but I think this year when I've seen him play, it's been like how we've seen him play previously when he was at Middlesbrough, that get pace, but his final thing, he's poor. He scored his first goal of the season in the FA Cup the other night. Poor.
Yeah, but the other one that we wanted to mention was...
There's hope for you, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I'll let you pronounce his name.
So, Kazuyoshi Moira,
as at a grand old age of 53, has just had his contract extended
for another year,
for another season.
In the Chinese.
Is it Chinese
No,
or Japanese league? But he used to play. It turns out that he was in Italy for a while.
Yeah, so
He spent quite a bit of time.
when he sent me that, I kind of recognised the name, and because I think this kind of story pops up every year. He just keeps getting extended, doesn't he? But
53 years old.
he looks fit as a fiddle, doesn't he?
He doesn't look 53.
No.
Makes us look probably 90.
The rest.
But yeah,
Fair
so
play to him.
amazing. But I think what we're going to is Jack is 60th rocking back and forth. We're going to get on with it. Jack's run.
Okay, right. So we're going to go Spurs and Jose. Now I like Jose. I think he's been box office since he came into the Premiership 2004. Plays the media and the fans fantastically well. And he'll continue to do that, and I still admire him and I respect him, and I still think he'll win as a trophy. But I am sick and tired of watching Spurs play, go 1-0 up and then do nothing. And I mean do nothing. And I think he's just got it ingrained in his players now that they're kind of scared to go for that second one. That's not a typical example. 1-0, a wonderful goal, 3 passes. Højbjerg to Reguilon, 1 touch, whipped it in, great header, Harry Kane, perfect. And I'm not bothered about passing it around like Man City or Brighton. I'm not too interested in that. And I kind of agree with Andy Gray. You know, the joys of sport or on football is that there are different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Not interested in that. And like the way we played against Man City and Arsenal, perfect, because they're not good enough to break us down at that particular time. But when you're playing sides like Wolves, Fulham at home, Crystal Palace away, you know, the setup last night frustrating before we even started. He's got Sissoko playing wide right. Now, if you've got an injury crisis or we've got a COVID crisis or suspensions, fair enough, you can do your job because he's quick. But on the bench, we've got Lucas Moura, we've got Dele Alli, we've got Gareth Bale, and we've got Eric Lamela, and we've got Vinicius, the other striker, who's on the back of a hat trick. Why on earth are we playing Sissoko up there on the right? And why on earth are we playing 2 number 6s or holding midfield players? Frustrated me. I'm not a massive fan of Ndombele. I think he does a lot. He looks good, but there's no end product. Why is he not picked? Unless there's an injury, why is he not picked Alderweireld? He's put Davinson Sanchez ahead of him and young Woden. The Welsh lad's better than Sanchez. Just for me, got it all wrong. He only used 2 substitutes last night and brought on Lamela, who's not played for 5 weeks, and he brought on Vinicius right near, 8 minutes to go, and all of a sudden we thought we were just gonna. He's a big lad, it's a bit like Crouch. You know, like when people thought Crouch was a target. Well, target man. Crouch was a better footballer than that. So is this lad. All of a sudden we're just going pinging long, no cohesion, nothing, and you've got Dele, Gareth Bale, Moura sat on the bench, never getting on. Jose, 9 out of 10 for me last night. Very disappointed in it.
So are you saying Jose's time is up?
No, I'm not saying that, because I think as a fan, I think he'll win us. I think he'll get as close to winning something this year. Whether he will, I hope.
So right, okay. So you take a trophy and carry on playing this awful football.
Yeah, I think I would.
Right.
I think the frustration thing is against the lower side I've got frustration with, is that we've got, and the problem is he's got the players to do it. So it's not like he's not got the players to say, right, I'm going to play Højbjerg or wings, rest Højbjerg last night in that pivot defensive midfield and play Ndombele and Dele Alli, something like that, or whatever. And he's got the players to do it, and I just don't understand why he's not doing it.
What if you get close to winning and don't win and you still not playing this way?
that's tricky.
I've said this from day dot that I think Jose's best years were when he first came over here with Chelsea. He was enthusiastic, he was bubbly, he was lively, and I think the Premiership's turned him sour. And I think everybody's tactically moved on, and he's not been able to, and that's cost him in the long run because now he's struggling to try and adapt and create, and the only thing he knows how to do
He's defend regularly,
is to defend the way he plays and do that. And I think that when you look at high pressing teams like Liverpool, Man City, even Southampton to a degree now, where they're going to be in your faces and win the ball potentially high up the pitch and you guys can't get out, you're just going to keep sitting deeper and deeper. And I think, and I've said this from day one when he came to you guys, is that he's had his best days, and I think you're getting a second-rate manager.
Yeah, you've said that, and I think that's why he brought the young lad in next to him. Behind is very good. The biggest problem is you're right. Like I said, I'm not too bothered about it. If you don't want to play the pressing games, he doesn't think we've got players to that fine. But you still look after the football. And the problem is when we go deeper, we don't look after the football. And then what happens is both Son and Kane have to come deeper and deeper and deeper. Sound like a hypnotist. And then there's nobody up the top when they get it. And then it's easier. As soon as Kane and Son are deeper, it's easier for defenders to pick him up because they're there.
Yeah.
I was very frustrated last night, particularly as it was like, I've stayed up for this. It's 1:45 in the morning, and I just want to scream at the telly.
No, we didn't, because Shaw would have killed you.
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh my goodness, have you just done that live? Oh my, that is good. I'm recording this section over and over again, playing it. Right, so Jack, just ease up, buddy. Right.
I'm sticking with him, but he needs to change. Jose, you need to change.
I think you're shooting above where you need to be at. You need to change your gaffer. He's stuck in the old days. But anyway, Jack, moving on to the next one. Cricket, you're going to quickly whiz through the cricket?
Yes, as an international cricket around, let's start with today's play actually. England started first test match of 17, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. It's Sri Lanka had a great day. Bowled Sri Lanka out for 135 and ahead, only 2 down ahead with Bairstow and Root in particular looking good on 70 odd not out, so a great day. They're disappointed that they left Anderson out again. I think I had this run at home and left Broad out. I understand that there's going to have to be some rotation over these for the fast bowlers over 17 test matches in a year, and that's a lot of cricket. Particularly some of them will play one day stuff, and they should win this test match now. There's no question about that. But first test match of those 17, you pick your best 11.
Yeah, but then maybe you're a little bit of sentiment towards these bowlers that they are coming to the end of their career. And maybe you're short-sighting yourself is that why waste them now when you want them later on down the line when it comes to the World Cups and the Ashes?
Yeah, the Ashes in particular, but we're in a World Test Championship and Root spoke about the importance of trying to get to that final. You've got to, look, one team...
You should be beating Sri Lanka though, shouldn't you?
Yeah, and one person doesn't make it. When you've got the world's greatest ever seam bowler in the first test match, I think he's about setting a tempo, setting a precedent. Anyway, we're going to win the test match, so I'm going to be proving what I was before, but that was a good thing. UAE Ireland last weekend, so they started.
UAE won, didn't they?
UAE won.
Wow, and Ireland beat England once, didn't they?
Yeah, and
that means UAE better than England.
Yeah, that's what somebody was saying. UAE better than England. Great partnership, 200s for the two lads. Won it fairly comfortably in the end. But then so that was the first, I think, of 5 ODIs, but they've not played since. They've had to cancel because there's COVID in the UAE camp. So I fear that series might get pulled and Ireland will be flying back fairly soon.
Yeah, but at least to beat them.
But we're 1-0. 1-0.
Reminds...
Jose, 1-0, part of the bus. Won the game, part of the bus.
I was going to say that reminds me of Derby got beat off Chorley. That means Chorley better than Derby. Last time I played Chorley, we beat Chorley. So that means technically my team's better than Derby.
From 1980.
Does it make a difference what year it was? Still means
it's a fair play for the UAE, and they've got a good coach in Robin Singh. So and watch this space for some of the UAE players going across to England, hopefully.
Excellent. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
And then the other one, did you pick up any of this? So the last day of the New Year's Test match this week, Australia, India. India held on back at 130 something overs for a draw. Great effort. Bit of controversy. I don't know if you saw it.
I've not seen it. No.
2 major things. Firstly, Steve Smith was caught by the stump cam marking. You know where a batsman.
Oh yeah, he said he wasn't. He didn't do it on purpose, didn't he?
Yeah, and look, I don't like Steve Smith. I can't stand watching him back. He's a good player. Obviously, the scandal in South Africa, you know, you're setting yourself up a little bit if you're not careful, aren't you, when you do things like that. But I am with Langer, the Australian coach. I don't think he wasn't. You can see he wasn't deliberately getting rid of Pants guard. He wasn't scratching the pitch. It's just weird. Yeah. And yes, why would you do it? You know, you can't just back the fact that he's got these weird habits. You've got to watch yourself. When you've been in bother before, a lot of made out of that. And then Payne, the captain, and to be fair, he's come out and apologised. The stump cam, which they've lauded in Australia, the fact that the stump cam many times over the last 2 or 3 years and got the bit of banter, it's quite funny. And Payne did overstep the mark, used some fairly bad language towards Ashwin. But again, people are straight into him. Oh, who do you think he is? Australia back to the old ways. Look, I want England to beat Australia. I want Australia to lose every test match, don't get me wrong. But again, you know, me and you've played sport, still playing sport to a fairly high level. Sometimes sport, and I mean, my dad always says this, sport brings the best and the worst out of it. And to be fair to Tim Payne, he admitted that. He brought the worst out of him because he wanted to win. And he didn't go, it wasn't great viewing, but it wasn't as disastrous as what people were saying. But what was funnier is he was giving those abuse and then dropped a catch next over.
Oh no,
so but that's just my take on it.
The other one I was going to ask you about, because I've heard about this, is racial abuse from the Australian crowd.
Yeah, so in Sydney, so they complained, I think, one day about it, so they investigated, and then the following day, young Suraj, I think he's called, he was on debut, young Indian bowler, actually raised it with the captain, Rahane, then raised it with the umpires, and they were ejected from the ground. So there's no place for that.
No, definitely not. And I think that's the right way to go. You know, like, raise it there and then. Don't sit on it and then try and do it afterwards. If you do it there and then, get rid of them. And
fair play to the young lad on debut to have the guts and the gall and the moral inclination to go, that's not right, I'm going to stop this test match. And it stopped for 10 minutes, ejected, and obviously the Australian Cricket Board are investigating it, and I just hope they do the right thing. There's no place for that.
No, definitely not. And fair play to the young lad. Well done. Right, comes the interesting part. Right, okay. And what I'm going to do is, before we go to Larks and it's Larkin's Corner, I'm just going to read out a few names. So what I'm going to say to you guys now, listening at home, this is your last chance. We have got a whole host of weekly winners that have never collected their prize. We are going to give you till the 28th of February to claim your prize. Otherwise, that's going to go back into the group, and we're going to offer it out to people that actually want the prize.
So okay. Cracking prizes, remember? Some red vouchers and.
Yeah, we've actually got a couple of stairs as well that haven't been claimed. So I'm just going to read out. So these are the weekly winners that haven't claimed. We've got Paul Comer, Lee Bennett, Kev Fairhurst, Sahib, Nick Latham, Mike Keevy, Mark Palmer, Aaron Isted, Dan Barron, Neil Mitchell. I think I said Mike Keevy, he's won a few times. You need to come and collect your weekly prize. If you've not got that by the 28th of Feb, wave goodbye to it, because it's going somewhere else. It won't be to us though. And then we've got a couple of stays that were the monthly prize winners. Oh, sorry, George Edwards was on that weekly prize.
George, come on.
Well, it makes me laugh. He wants to come on here and give me a stick about Leeds United and disappears. Flash in the pan time, that's all I'm going to say. So George, you've also got a weekly prize, and then we've got a couple of monthly winners, which is actual stays at the hotel. So Andrew Exton, Ryan Egger and Paul Comer again. If you don't claim by the 28th of Feb, me and Jack are going to Ready Red for a 3-night stay without the missus.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know who'd be more excited other than
probably them, to be fair.
But yeah, you guys, you've got to the 28th. If you don't claim by that point, it is over for you. But
beautiful.
While I'm on cup, do you want to go to?
Should we do?
Well, let's get Larks in. Let's get Larks in.
So this is his tip, so his corner for week 19, which starts Saturday.
Yes.
So here's what you've got to say.
Alright boys, back again, old Larko, bringing you the jam once more. Excuse see, I'm sat on his faux leather, if it gets a bit squeaky in here. Just bear with me. I'm in the managerial suite today, just on the tactics board. Put my things together, so lads, if we rewind 7 days back to my tips last week, I'm sure you would have seen the jam that Smith wrote from the mighty Arsenal brought 4-0 to the boys. What did I say? Fancy a bit of Arsenal last week, and what did the boys do? 4-0, Smith Rowe, 9 points.
to, I don't know if serious is, you can't clock this, do the tough, but keep it up, alright? I hope you listen to the tips and hopefully get you up the league table soon. So this week, who is bringing the jam? Interesting week, double game week, alright? You might want to think about playing a wild card, I don't know. I can't look any further than West Ham. They've got 2 games, can't remember who they're playing. Burnley, that's got to be a 3-0 clean sheet. Don't know who else, probably going to be an absolute jam game from now. So I've got in Oggy himself, Ogbonna at the back, okay, going to smash it, alright? So that's my tip for this week. Make sure you've got your team littered with lads that have got 2 games, and you'll find yourself climbing the table just like the jam season. Stay humble, lads. Over and out.
Well, I'm going to start on this. Has he been supping something he shouldn't have been? Because we did this last week. Smith Rowe's not played this week at all. Arsenal's first game's tonight.
He's had that new Top Golf thing in
I think
he's having a bit of fun.
I think he's had too many black crowns by the sounds of it. But
But
like, you
then
can't
also,
plot
you know-
this. He's calling me out there.
Yeah, I thought that you were saying, yeah, of course. He called me out last week.
Yeah, well.
Which I looked at, by the way. The teams are completely different.
Oh, I love how he's, like, it'd be much more substantial if he'd actually done his research first and realised that Arsenal hadn't played. So,
Where's he?
just I think just
We need
magic.
to have a look at his contract, I think.
Yeah, in his jamming head, he's probably thinking completely different things to what's actually going
There's
on.
that baby brain's coming, it's getting there, Clash is getting nervous. isn't
Possibly.
it? And
But,
then squeaky bum time, that's what he's on about.
yeah, well, the exciting time is that around the corner is the Fancy Football Champions League Cup, sponsored by Radisson Red. Just going to give you guys a quick overview. So what is going to actually happen is on game week 22 and 23, there is going to be a 2-legged fixture for you guys to play in. So you'll be playing, if you are drawn within that first round as a fixture, some players will get a bye because of the amount of numbers that are in the league, but there's going to be a first round, 2 legs, game week 22 and 23. In game week 24 and 25 is the second round, okay, of the cup, which is the exciting point because this is go home time.
Okay.
Go big or go home, because if you make it through, then you go into the group stages of the Champions
Well, so
League.
round 1 and round 2 are like knockout.
Round 1, round
Prelims.
2 is knockout, 2-legged event, and then from that point onwards, so round 3, 4 and 5, 3, 4 and 5 will be group stage matches where you'll be playing in a mini league where the top teams will qualify, okay, from that. So exciting times. What we are planning on doing is, obviously we wanted to do some type of event to do the cup draw, but we are very aware of what the current situation is. So we will be doing the draw live. We'll be beaming to your screens at some point
Sometime
in the
this
next,
week.
I think we're aiming for maybe Wednesday night, maybe in about 6-7 days time. We're doing the draw for the first round and the second round, so you guys can get a heads up for game week 22-23 if you're in the first round.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to get a bye, you'll wait till game week 24 and 25. If after, what will happen is, after 2 legs, if your scores are the same, we will go on your captains scoring the most points. If that's still the same, then we'll do a count back on goals. Okay. What we are going to say is, if you decide, and this has happened in the past when it comes to your game week match, you decide to make lots of substitutions because it doesn't reflect on your score and it takes off your league points, we will be double checking that and you will be getting your minus points. So if I play Jack and we're playing a fixture, Jack decides to make 4 substitutions and he loses 8 points, it won't reflect in that game week, it will reflect off his league total score. So what will be my responsibility to check Jack's team and report to us if he's got any minus points, and then what we'll do is we'll follow that up, because to go through 120 odd teams is going to be slightly time consuming, especially when we have full-time jobs.
Yes.
So there's going to be an element of trust from you guys and a little bit of checking up on your opponents to make sure that they are abiding by the rules.
Just enjoy it. And what is the prize once you look through the group stages and then knock out the Champions League? What is the major prize?
The major prize is you get actually a baseball cap, but you also get a couple of nights stay at Radisson Red. So it is a worthwhile prize. It's not just one night stay, you're getting a couple of nights free stay at Radisson Red. Take the mic feeling if you want. Enjoy yourself, or if you don't want to take the mic feeling, take your mate. Makes no difference. And I believe there's a discount voucher as well for food and beverages.
And the runners up prize as well.
Yeah, so the top 2 teams, so whoever comes runners up gets a prize. Finalists, you'll also get a prize. So lots to play for. So even if you're out of the league situation, a bit like you can't clock this that Narco's been calling out, we still have the cup to play for.
Go for the cup.
So, new live draw next week, so get involved in have a watch of that live. There'll be some robot Peter Crouch movements. I think Jack's already prepping himself for that. But we'll look forward to that. And we may even have a special guest helping us out on that.
Yeah, who could that be? I wonder.
I don't know. We shall wait and see. But yeah, I think that's
For
about
the show.
everything from the
Thursday
show.
night now here at what time? 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Time for us to enjoy the weekend, Stu.
I think so.
Everybody else get involved because at the end of the day,
What do we know?